Hello, everyone. I'm Big Joy on the Earth. Let's continue talk about the art of worldly wisdom. 134. Double your resources. Double your resources. You thereby double your life. One must not depend on one thing or trust to only one resource. However, brain management. Everything should be kept double, especially the causes of success, of favor, or of esteem. The moon's mutability transcends everything and gives a limit to all existences, especially of things depends on human will, the most brittle of all things. To guard against this inconstancy should be the sage's care, and for this, the chief rule of life is to keep a double store of good and useful quality. Thus, as nature gives us in duplicate the most important of our limbs and those most exposed to risk, so art should deal with the qualities on which we depend for success. 135. Do not nourish the spirit of contradiction. It only proves you foolish or peevish, and prudence should guard against this strenuously. To find the difficulties in everything may prove you clever, but such wrangling writes you down a fool. Such folk make a mimic war out of the most pleasant conversation, and in this way act as enemies towards their associates rather than towards those with whom they do not consult. Great grades most indelicacious, and so does contradiction in amusement. They're both foolish and cruel, who yoke together the wild beast and the tame. 136. Post yourself in the center of things. So you feel the puzzle of affairs. Many lose their way either in the ramifications of unuseless discussion or in the brushwood of wearisome verbosity without ever realizing the real matter at hand. They go over a single point 100 times, wearing themselves and others, and yet never touch the all-important center of affairs. This comes from a confusion of mind from which they cannot extricate themselves. They waste time and patience on matters they should leave alone, and cannot spare them afterwards for what they have left alone. 137. The sage should be self-sufficing. He that was all in all to himself carried all with him when he carried himself. If a universal friend can represent to us Rome and the rest of the world, let a man be his own universal friend, and then he is in a position to live alone. Whom could such a man want if there is no clearer intellect or finer taste than his own? He would then depend on himself alone, which is the highest happiness and like the supreme being. He that can live alone resembles the brutal beast in nothing, the sage in much, and God in everything. 138. The art of letting things alone. The more so the wilder the waves of public or of private life. There are hurricanes in human affairs. tempest of patience, when it is wise to retire to a harbor and ride an ankle. Remedies often make diseases worse. In such cases, one has to leave them to their natural course and the moral suasion of time. It takes a wise doctor to know when not to prescribe, and at times the greater skill consists in not applying remedies. The proper way to still the storms of the vulgar is to hold your hand and let them calm down of themselves. To give way now is to conquer by and by. A fountain gets muddy with but little stirring up, and does not get clear by our meddling with it, but by our leaving it alone. The best remedy for disturbances is to let them run their course, for so they quiet down. 139. Recognize unlucky days. They exist. Nothing goes well on them. Even though the game may be changed, the ill luck remains. Two tries should be enough to tell if one is in luck today or not. Everything is in process of change, even the mind. And no one is always wise. Chance has something to see, even how to write a good letter. All perfection turns on the time. Even beauty has its hours. Even wisdom fails at times by doing too much or too little. To turn out well, a thing must be done on its own way. This is why with some people everything turns out ill, with others all goes well. Even with less trouble, they find everything ready, they wait prompt, their presiding genius favorable, their lucky star in the ascendant. At such times, one must seize the occasion and not throw away the slightest chance. But a shrewd person will not decide on a day's lucky by a single piece of good or bad fortune. For the one may be only a lucky chance, and the other only a slight annoyance. 140. Find the good in a thing at once. It is the advantage of good taste. The bee goes to the honey for her comb, the serpent to the gall for its venom. So with taste. Some seek the good, others the ill. There is nothing that has no good in it, especially in books, as giving food or thought. But many have such a scent that aimed at thousand excellences they fix upon a single defect, and single it out for blame as if they were scavengers of men's minds and hearts. So they draw up a balance sheet of defects, which does more credit to their bad taste than to their intelligence. They lead a sad life, nourishing themselves on bitters and batting on garbage. They have the luckier taste who missed a thousand defects seized upon a single beauty they may have hit upon by chance. 141. Do not listen to yourself. It is no use pleasing yourself if you do not please others. And as a rule, general contempt is the punishment for self-satisfaction. The attention you pay to yourself, you probably owe to others. To speak and at the same time listen to yourself cannot turn out well. Uh, well, if to talk to oneself when alone is madness, it must be double. It must be doubly unwise to listen to oneself in the presence of others. It is a weakness of the great to talk with recurrent as I was saying, and which bewiles their heroes. At every sentence, they look for applause or flattery, taxing the patience of the wise so to the pompous speak with an echo, and their talk can only totter on with the aid of seats. At every word, they need to support of a stupid bravo. 142. Never from obstinacy take the wrong side because your opponent has anticipated you in taking the right one. Oh, a long sentence. You begin the fight already beaten and must soon take the right fight in disgrace. With bad weapons, one can never win. It was astute in the opponent to seize the better side first. It would be folly to come lagging after with the worst. Such obstinacy is more dangerous in actions than in words. For actions encounters more risk than talk. It is the common feeling of the obstinate that they lose the truth by contradicting, and useful by quarreling with it. The sage never places himself on the side of patience, but espouses the cause of right, either discovering it first or improving it later. If the enemy is a fool, he will such a case turn round to follow the opposite and worse way. Thus, the only way to drive him from the better cause is to take it yourself, for his folly will cause him to desert it, and his obstinacy be punished for so doing. 143. Never become paradoxical in order to avoid the treat. Avoid the trite. Every undertaking which differs from the reasonable approach is foolishness. The paradox is a cheat. It wins applause at first by its novelty and piquancy, but afterwards it becomes discredited when the deceit is forcing and its impotence becomes apparent. It is a species. It is a species of jaggery, and in political matters, it would be the ruin of states. Those who cannot or dare not reach great deeds on the direct road of excellence go round by way of paradox. Admired by fools, but making wise men true prophets. It argues an unbalanced judgment, and if it is not altogether based on the false, it is certainly founded on the uncertain, and the risks the weightier matters of life. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.